Hey Rockstar, Dr. Josh McClain here at Body Rejuvenation. Thank you for checking out this video about how to improve your drives this golf season. There are a couple things that I want to cover real quickly just from an anatomy and physiology standpoint that are really going to help you improve that a lot of people don't understand and a lot of people don't implement or train before the golf season arrives. So really what it comes down to is our body is setting us up to be shitty at golf. Okay, so we're usually sitting at a desk, we've got this rounded shoulders position, and we start to lose a lot of that mobility, definitely as we go through that aging process, through our shoulders, through our backs, and through our hips. So really to be successful off the tee box, I need to have as much rotational mobility up through the upper back and through the shoulders as possible. So that's where we're going to start. The test above, below, around this thing is going to show you some of those mobility deficits, but really why the mobility is important is I need to be able to open up all the way through. The farther I can open up, the more angular velocity I can create, the more momentum I can get behind that club head as I'm going to make my drive or swing for any club, really, is what it comes down to. So if I can open up, I've got enough mobility through my shoulders, my thoracic spine is opening up enough to allow my chest to rotate through. Now I've got a lot more angular velocity, I can create a lot more torque and a lot more force behind that club head as it's coming through. The second part is when I start to talk about strength of the upper back and the shoulder muscles with the combination of core strength as well. So a lot of people underestimate strengthening of the posterior shoulders, the back of the shoulders, because the back of the shoulders is what really creates a lot of that initial wind-up position, and then as you go to follow through, I'm going to be decelerating significantly through the back of my shoulders on both sides as I make that swing all the way through. So my initial wind up and then my initial coming through, my contact, and then the deceleration phase, a lot of that gets absorbed through the posterior shoulders, and the posterior shoulders create a lot of that momentum. The next part, the core. So much of core work is going to be rotational in nature. And a lot of people don't ever really focus on their core, definitely the strengthening part of it in a rotational position. And when I talk about core, I not only mean that it's through my abs, my six-pack abs, but it's also through the external and internal obliques and then transverse abdominis, which really creates that rotational ability to create me a lot of torque through the hips and through the abdominal wall as I'm coming through. So really what you're going to be doing is a couple exercises to be working through that position, working on that hip dissociation as I start, and then following through, really letting that core drive the momentum of your golf swing. The last part is the hip dissociation. A lot of people struggle as we start to age because our hips start to get tight, our hip flexors start to tighten up because we're sitting all the time. So the dissociation means that I'm able to isolate hip movement without upper body trunk movement. And a lot of people struggle here. Definitely as we start to get up, for them to passively start to move their hips through that position as their upper body stays mobile, that is hard for them to do. So it's hard for them to dissociate hip movement here and start off that initial swing through and allow their body to rotate through after creating as much momentum, as much torque as I can through that club head. So really those are the three things that are going to take your golf game to the next level. The guide above, below, around here, there's a couple tests that you can do to see if you have these impairments specifically, and it'll give you the guide to get over them and the exercises to be doing to target them to have the most successful upcoming golf season you can. The other parts that a lot of people don't talk about is some of the nutrition aspects, and we're going to cover that in the guide as well, talking about how to just maximize our bedtime window to allow our body to recover after we go out to the driving range or we're playing 18 holes and our body muscles break down a lot. Beer is not the answer to the recovery. I know I enjoy beer as well, but there's a couple things you can do right before bed so you can wake up more recovered and repaired the next day so you can go back out, swing again, or you can get stronger from the day that you just had. So a couple things to think about. We'll be covering all kinds of stuff in the future. Get involved, share it. Let's take this thing to the next level. Have fun, enjoy the journey, and keep spreading smiles.